everyone. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode of Girl Talkin' Shenanigans. And if you've just found our podcast for the first time, we're so happy you're here. I'm Marilyn.
And I'm Cynthia.
And we were having a conversation about a conversation that Steve and I had. And I jumped on the internet to do some research of my own because I absolutely love university studies and statistic reports, especially startling statistic reports. And what I discovered when I did this deep dive on the internet was startling. And that is that there are no statistic reports for this conversation that Steve and I had. And this was solely centered around the art of the courtesy flush. And I'm not sure if all of you are aware of what a courtesy flush is, but it is something that is extremely important to me. And when Steve and I had this conversation, he basically said, what is a courtesy flush?
Yeah, because I did not even know what a courtesy flush was. I've been doing it, but I didn't know it had a name.
Right?
Yeah,
which was
a real name.
Which was startling to me, because when you know something and you're really passionate about it, you think everybody knows about it. So when my bestie admits that she didn't know it had a term, I guess I realized maybe I should have gone a little easier on Steve. But for those of you that do not know what the art of the courtesy flush is, it's basically, without being too graphic, it's when you do a little courtesy flush midway.
Midway, yeah. So yeah, as you're sitting,
Yeah.
you're doing a midway flush to minimize things.
Yes.
Did you also know though that it's also called another word?
What?
It's called a mercy flush.
No.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
What? It's the same thing, but it's mercy.
There's another little saying for it. Yep, I saw that online, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to let her know about that one.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so what do we like better? Do we like courtesy flush or do we like mercy?
Well, I think it depends on how stinky it is. You know?
Oh my gosh.
When it's super bad, it's a mercy flush, you know?
Okay.
You're trying to save the next person.
Right? Oh, for sure. Well, okay, so when I was doing this research, I did discover that there are several benefits to doing it. And so I was excited to learn that because I thought I'm going to take this research back to Steve and I'm going to share this with him. And I've jotted down a couple notes here, but I think I'm going to know them off the top of my head.
Oh.
But the most important one, I'm sure you know, is it avoids clogs.
Yeah,
so,
which that one I didn't even know about.
Right?
Because I didn't know you could go so much that you would clog up a toilet.
Okay, well,
I had no clue.
In our defense, we're girls.
Well, true.
And so I don't think that we have the volume.
You think?
No, I don't think we have the volume.
Okay.
And
so, why were you guys even talking about this?
Oh my gosh, because it was just this quick little thing that happened. It was Saturday morning and I needed a tissue. So I just kind of pushed open the guest bathroom downstairs and I walked inside to grab a tissue off the toilet tank and I was greeted by this aroma. And so I grabbed my tissue and I popped out and I was
ran.
Like, yeah, I did. I kind of tried to hold my breath,
gosh.
but then I realized as I'm holding my breath, I'm inhaling.
Yeah, because then it goes in your mouth.
Yeah, okay.
You're smelling in your mouth.
I know, then I'm
then you're grossed
That's
out.
gross. Okay, I'm grossed out. I'm officially grossed out now.
Oh my God.
Okay, so then I stepped out of the bathroom and I turned the fan on and then I shut the door all the way and then I was like, "Hon, you didn't practice the art of the courtesy flush." And he's like, "What? What's that?" And I was like, "Seriously? We've been married 22 years and you don't even know what a courtesy flush is?" Like I think that was startling in itself. So
yeah, but I didn't know.
Well, so after you and I were talking about it, we realized, okay, so you had been practicing it. You just didn't know it had a name.
I just didn't know it was a thing.
Okay.
And that it had a specific name.
Yes.
I honestly didn't. So when she started talking about a courtesy flush, I'm like, so I had to like look it up. Like, what's a courtesy flush, right?
Right.
So yeah, I had been doing it, but I just didn't know it was a thing.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I get that because, because girls, we do a lot of things to try to avoid the embarrassment of.
Right. We're bothered by it.
Yeah, with a restroom visit.
Yeah.
But
Where dude doesn't even care.
no,
Right,
and that's
they
what
don't
I
care.
was just gonna say is that Steve never even practiced the art of it. He didn't know there was a name, nor did he know that flushing the toilet midway was even a thing. And so, to me, that was most startling. Like, I get that maybe you don't know it has a terminology.
Right.
But, like, to not practice it. And then, like I said, we've been married 22 years. Like, I was just like, how does this happen that you don't know to do that? So anyhow, before we continue on with the conversation, I'm kind of getting grossed out about talking about this because it's not a topic that we talk about very often, but I thought it was very important to talk about. And I just want to change lanes really fast because there's a cute story that I want to share. And it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I was at work, and this new movie, Trolls, had come out. And Braden was quite a bit younger, and him and I had gone to see it. And a coworker came into the office, and he said, "Have you seen the movie Trolls yet?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I absolutely loved that movie." And he said, "Well, there was a character in the movie, and it made me think of you." And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he's probably talking about that cute troll with the pink fluffy hair or something like that. But he says, "You reminded me of Cooper." And I was like, "Cooper? The cupcake pooping giraffe?" And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, seriously? That is like the highest compliment a girly girl could ever receive. Like, for him to just imagine me pooping cupcakes, I thought that was amazing. So, let's just, for the sake of the rest of the conversation, can we just imagine cupcakes?
Cupcakes that were pooping?
Yeah. Let's just paint that really cute picture.
I poop peppermints.
Oh, she loves candy cane. Yes. That's a cute one. Okay. So you poop peppermints.
Just round peppermints. Though.
Right? Okay, and I'm the cupcake girl.
Yeah, you can do cupcakes. I'll do peppermints.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then not only did this conversation come up when Steve and I were talking, but I ended up telling him about a conversation that I had about this art of the courtesy flush conversation with girls that I worked with.
No, yeah, because we got a lot of conversation about bathrooms when we work.
Yes.
At work, yeah.
Yes.
Because, you always got the one in the office that blows it up and stuff. So,
yeah. And
always.
sometimes, like, in your office, you have your own designated restroom for your office. And we've worked in a couple of different branches and companies. And so sometimes that's a situation. But then other times, the situation is that you have to, like, walk out the back door of your office and go down the hall.
Yeah.
And so this conversation arose at work when if you ever tried to use the ladies' room around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the girls would catch you at the back door and warn you that
don't go in there.
Yes, like skull and crossbones. Do not cross. Because some people just didn't know that there was this poor girl, that would come back from lunch and she had to use the ladies' room. And so,
like clockwork, though, you said.
Yes.
Huh, right? Like every day at the same time.
Yes, it was definitely like clockwork. And good for her for being so regular, right?
Yeah, because then when you get old, that's a thing.
Yeah, for sure. And this is no disrespect to her at all.
Of course not.
Because trust me, we've all had.
Yeah, I wish I was clockwork.
Those moments. Yeah, me too. But with all due respect, I used to tell everybody, because I sat closer to the back door, and I would be like, "No, you don't want to go. Like, you go into the ladies' room?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, just wait like a half an hour, or just take the elevator down and use the bathroom down the hall." So I had told the girls, since Steve has a sign shop, like, why don't I have Steve just make a sign that says, we kindly ask that you practice the art of the courtesy flush, signed property management. And a couple of the girls were like, that's a brilliant idea. And then some of the girls that were in management were like, that's not going to fly. The property manager will make
get
you
mad or something. Yeah.
Yeah, make me take it down. And then, of course, Steve's not going to like how to make signs that got taken down. Yeah. But, let me just mention public service announcement time. If you're a property manager, you should have those signs in your restroom because nobody wants to be offended by the smell. And also, don't you think that it would be a better environment for all of our clients who are coming to sign loan docs or whatever to have an enjoyable restroom experience? So, anyways,
yeah, because that's always enjoyable.
No smell is enjoyable.
Oh, yeah, no smell is enjoyable. Yeah, yeah.
And probably
maybe install a fan.
Yeah, something. And I don't know if Steve's going to want to do little signs like that. But I'm just saying, he might, and somebody else will. Yeah. So that's something to take note of. Yes. So anyways, I was also thinking about, Carolyn and I went to happy hour. It was probably about 3 weeks ago. And I had told Cynthia this story 3 weeks ago, and I thought, you know what? This would be a funny opportunity to tie this funny story into what we're talking about, because we're already talking about restroom situations. And I did ask my twin sister, Carolyn, if I could share this story on the podcast, and she said yes. So, do not think I'm offending my sister, okay? So, Carolyn and I go to Chicago Fire to have happy hour. And I got there a little bit early, and I reserved this little table for us. It was a high-top table in the bar area. And she had excused herself to go to the ladies' room at one point, and then I had done the same thing, and we're just sitting there talking, and this gentleman approaches the table, and he was like, I'm so sorry to interrupt you girls' dinner. And I was just like, no, that's okay. Well, what's going on? And I'm thinking, I know what he's going to say. He's going to compliment.
He's going to compliment him, and he's going to say, oh my gosh, you two girls are so beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Or he's going to say something about her hair. Oh, some big compliment for sure.
Yeah, because he came up to
because they're both striking.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Very much so.
I just want to say, I thought, because he was leaning more towards Carolyn, I thought for sure he was going to compliment her, because we're twins, but we look totally different. So, some people prefer blondes and some people prefer brunettes. So, because he was leaning more her direction, I thought for sure, I'm going to sit back and just watch my twin sister get this super cool compliment about how beautiful she is. And he kind of leaned in and got a little more kind of quiet, and he says, I thought that I should let you know that you have toilet paper dangling from your shoe.
2 feet.
Yeah. And honestly, Carolyn was such a good sport. We were laughing so hard. I had tears coming out of my eyes. But she let me take a picture of her shoe underneath the table. So remind me.
Yeah,
I'll post the picture of the toilet paper. And like Cynthia said, I'm not even joking. This piece of toilet paper was this big.
Yeah, it wasn't like a square, right?
No. So if you could imagine, when I kind of leaned my stool back and I looked under the table, I could see her foot on the little footrest on the bar stool, and this trail of toilet paper hanging down to the floor. And so Carolyn was like, how do I get it off? And I'm scraping on the floor. So she's getting up and scraping it off, and then she kicks it over. So anyways.
So somebody else could step on it.
Yeah.
And carry it on.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully not. She did kick it under the table. So hopefully nobody else had that happen to them.
Oh my gosh.
That was terrible. But Carolyn, that was so funny. I'm so sorry, to laugh at your expense, but she laughed with us.
Yeah, and I totally cracked up when you told me about it and saw the picture. It was so funny.
The picture is the funniest part. And like you said, too, it wasn't a square.
Right. It wasn't a square. Well, I had a super embarrassing thing happen to me, too, kind of on the same line.
Did you?
Yeah, we had gone with friends to Las Vegas, and we do a pool day, and we reserve a cabana.
Oh.
And so, it's kind of swanky.
Yes,
and
fancy.
You got your own girl there, and she, takes your orders, and you have a TV, you've got a refrigerator. It's super cool, right?
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I had a two-piece bathing suit on, and we had been in the water, coming out of the water, because I think it was like 111 degrees that day.
Oh, my gosh.
It was super hot.
Oh, my
so
gosh.
Anyway, we're wet, but, not soaking wet or whatever. So anyway, like towards the middle of the day, I had to go to the restroom. Luckily, we're pretty close to the restroom. So I kind of just walked around, went in the restroom, came back out,
Yeah.
And so my friend Susie, she leans over and she says to me, she's like, Cynthia, the seat cover is stuck to your back of your legs. And I'm like, oh my God, you're kidding me. And it's coming off in pieces.
Oh my
right? 'Cause it's like
gosh.
stuck to my thighs.
Oh
The whole seat cover.
my gosh. You're
Dying.
joking.
No. So here we are thinking I'm so swanky at the Cosmopolitan at the Cabana with a freaking seat cover stuck to my butt.
Those dissolve so easy.
So it's like pieces. I'm like trying to get it off of me.
Oh my gosh.
And she was so sweet because she's trying not to crack up, And I'm dying because I'm thinking to myself, how many people saw that?
Oh my gosh. As you walked out of the restroom,
Back to the Cabana.
back to your cabana.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm so
stuck to my thighs. Yeah.
I am so
Yep.
sorry. And you didn't feel it.
No.
But those things are so thin.
No.
I mean, they have to dissolve in the toilet.
It was
so.
like part of my thighs.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That is terrible. I wouldn't. Well, hopefully Carolyn is going to watch the podcast.
I know,
and
right?
she'll hear your story.
And she'll feel like she won't feel so bad
No,
after she hears mine.
That is terrible. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine. I mean, I pray nobody saw you walking to the cabana, but like
Well, they would have got a good laugh.
thinking of that stuff just makes me want to like die. That is so terrible. I'm sorry.
I remember that happened at work one time too. Not from me. It was another lady that worked in the office. And I think the funniest part of this though was that she had on, like pants and a top. And so when she pulled her pants up, the seat cover went with it.
Oh,
so
my
it was
gosh.
hanging out. Hanging out the back. Whoops. And hanging out the back. So the funniest part though is so she comes walking out to go back to her desk, and my friend who's sitting behind me is cracking up, dying, right? And I'm just like, what's she
going
laughing
on?
about? Yeah, what's going on? And instead of telling the person that you've got the seat cover stuck to the back of your pants, she has to tell me first so that I can see it and crack up with
oh my
her.
gosh.
So
she fixes it.
before she tells her, yeah. So that was the funny part, is that she's like, Cynthia, look, you gotta check it out.
Obviously.
And I'm like, what? We're dying. And then she says, oh, by the way, you got the seat cover attached to your back.
Oh my gosh. So that goes to show she's better friends with you. Because if she was better friends with the other person, she would have went straight to that person.
She would have gone straight to that person. But yeah, that was
oh my gosh.
so funny.
I've never had
we
that
laughed
happen.
about that for months.
Oh, serious.
Years,
like, these are
probably.
things that I will think about, like, later on tonight when I'm, like, by myself washing dishes or whatever. And, like, these little thoughts, like, pop in my head and I start giggling while I'm standing there alone. Okay,
Imagining, huh?
Yes, and I'm, like, reliving, like, you
Yeah.
coming out of the bathroom. But the funny thing about your story is that those cabanas are, like, so elite. Like, they're so expensive. Like you said, you got the bottle service and the, food service and all this. And, like, you're trying to, really make the most of this, like, elite experience. And then you've got, like, a toilet seat stuck
Freaking
to your...
toilet seat stuck to my
Oh, my
thighs.
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. I have so many embarrassing stories, but I'm gonna pick one. Embarrassing stuff always seems to happen to me, and I haven't planned this, so bear with me. I was working at the Sunrise Mall, and this was in the...
Don't date yourself.
Yes, okay, no, I won't. Okay, it was a very long time ago. And I worked at the mall, and I was going to go on my lunch hour. And maybe I should paint a little backstory. Back then, the style was where you wore, like, stretchy pants. What do you call those? Like, stirrup pants?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
They were actually,
I
right,
remember
called
those.
stirrup pants?
I remember they had
Okay.
the little thing underneath your foot so they would stay in your,
Yes.
stay down tight on your
Yes.
legs.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can't believe I pulled that out of
I love stirrup
my
pants.
hat because yeah, they were stirrup pants. Okay. So we would wear stirrup pants, but we would wear like leggings underneath them to keep us warmer because the mall was freezing. So I would, when I get home from work, I would just take my stirrup pants and my leggings off in one fell swoop. And usually when I was doing laundry, I would like make sure I pulled the leggings or the tights out of my stirrup pants so that I can wash them separately. Somehow, when they made their way through the washer and the dryer, the tights never got pulled out of my stirrup pants. And typically when I was getting ready for work, I'm always rushing. And so I grabbed a pair of stirrup pants out of my closet and I grabbed a pair of tights out of my lingerie drawer, whatever, and I got ready. So then I work all morning and now it's time to go to lunch.
Never noticed that bump, huh?
No, no, thank you. In my defense, never noticed nothing. But this is also probably because I'm rushing to get to work, and then you got to find a parking spot at the mall.
And we know all about that.
Yeah. We won't be reminded of my parking lot rage. But, so I go to lunch, and I'm walking from Lerner, New York, to McDonald's. That's where I was going to eat. And all of a sudden, I'm walking, and I feel something like flicking my foot every time I take a step with my right foot. And so I'm just like, do-do-do, and I glance down, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And like, it never registers that it's a pair of tights from the last time I wore these stirrup pants. And I'm just like, what is that? So I just like kind of look around and I bend down and I'm like
making sure nobody's watching you, right?
Yes, because I mean it's inside of the mall. So I was like trying to pull it out, and then I was like, what is this? It was like stretching, and then I kept pulling, and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my gosh, those are my tights from the last time I wore them. So I like start pulling, and I'm not sure. I know women know how stretchy a pair of tights are, but men don't. Okay, I'm telling you that like they stretch so far. So as I'm pulling out my pant leg, and I'm trying, I'm
like a magician, right?
Yes, with the handkerchief.
Yeah,
out of his pocket. It was literally like that. Now all of a sudden, I could feel the leg of one side of the tights was like pulling from the other leg. So I had to pull it all the way from my left leg, like across the crotch of my stirrup pants, all the way down my right leg, and then out the bottom of the stirrups. So I've got this small window of space where the stirrup is going under my foot, and then by my heel is where I'm like trying to pull it out. So it is stretching and stretching and stretching, and I'm like pulling, and I've only got like a foot of tights.
Oh my gosh,
out.
you have like, 3 yards to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I am sweating. I'm like having it like, oh my gosh, I am like super overcome with embarrassment. So I secretly like kind of like tuck it in my shoe, and then I walk over, and they have these like sitting areas in the middle of the mall. So I went over there and I sat down, and I just kind of like crossed my left foot over.
Trying to look so petite.
Yes, and I'm just like, I'm going to try to look as glamorous as I can, trying to hide my right foot, yes, with my left foot, and I'm like pulling and pulling and pulling. Well, the thing that made it more difficult was now I was sitting down, so it didn't have as much
flow.
Yes, the give was like not there anymore. So I'm working like twice as hard to get these hosiery tights out of my leggings. Anyways, finally, I get the sucker out. Well, when you work at the mall, you have to have a clear purse, and it has to be really tiny because they're afraid you're gonna.
Yeah.
Yes, they would
I
be.
thought that was a new thing that we had to do for concerts and stuff.
Oh,
I didn't know you had to do it way back when.
Yes,
Oh,
totally.
wow.
They would not allow you to come to work with a regular purse.
Okay.
It had to be clear. And actually, too, they would do a purse check before you walked out of the mall on your lunch hour. You'd have to get walked out by a manager, and they'd check your purse
for someone stealing things or whatever.
Yes, because we sold earrings and all kinds of little things. So, anyway, so now I've got this pile of really
Why don't you just throw them away?
Oh, let me tell you. Yes. So I shove it into, because I have to go to McDonald's, and my purse is like only this big. Yeah. And so I shove it all into this tiny little purse, and like there's a feet hanging out and a waistband, and I'm just like, when you want a garbage can,
can't find one.
No, you can't find one. So I'm like scoping around. Plus, I almost, like, you know when you're so embarrassed, like things, it almost goes black.
Yeah,
like you almost can't even see. Like when you're doing a speech like in front of like 300 people, like you just kind of go blank, you know? So I'm just like trying to like gain my composure and like find a freaking garbage can so I can throw them away. And I finally spotted one past the entrance to McDonald's. But anyways, got them in the garbage and literally had no appetite. I was like, I don't even want to eat. I was so embarrassed.
You're sick to your stomach.
I was, because
sweating. You know, that reminds me of another story about me and you.
What?
Oh my gosh. It was that time we went to Kohl's and we were having you try on some cute little like latex onesie things. And we were like, you know, trying to check them out. I think we had maybe a dress you wanted to wear. And anyway, so you grabbed a couple of them and a couple different styles. And
it was like a Spanx.
Yeah, kind of like a Spanx thing. Yeah, but this is when they first kind of came out.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't an actual Spanx, but it was probably like a
knockoff or something. Yeah. I remember what you're talking about.
And so we thought, well, she was going to try them on. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to wait for you out here, and I'm just going to like look around and stuff like that. So she brings in, you know, this thing, and she goes in the dressing room, and so I'm looking around, and I always seem to be waiting for her.
I know. We talk about this in a future episode. Yeah.
And so I'm waiting, and it's, you know, I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, dang, is she like, you know, is she okay in there?
No,
like,
I wasn't.
Did somebody kidnap her in there or whatever? So I guess she finally comes out, and she is disheveled. You know?
Yeah, disheveled.
Disheveled, that's the word. Yeah. And she is looking at me like, oh my God. And I'm like, well, what the heck happened in there? Why were you in there for like 20 minutes? And she's like, I could not get that thing off of me.
Oh my
gosh.
And she goes,
I was sweating trying to get this thing off of me. And that makes it worse because then it sticks, right?
Yeah.
And it stuck to her. And she's trying to get it off this way because she don't pull nothing over her head.
No, I don't.
Right? No. It has to go down. So I was dying.
It was terrible. It was terrible. No disrespect for those compression garments at all.
No, because they do work.
They just will not ever be on my body, ever, because I got it on, no problem. And I was like, oh, yeah, you know, I guess I could see the benefit of wearing these. But then I, was trying on other clothes, and, you're in the fitting room with all these lights just, like, glaring on you. And so by the time I was ready to...
There's no cameras in there.
Oh, my gosh. So if Kohl's has a camera...
Oh, don't watch that one.
No, I was going to say, you need to send it to me.
So you can put it on America's Funniest Home Video.
Yeah, because I need to win 10 grand.
I know we do need that.
Right? Okay, so Kohl's, if you're listening, call me.
Yeah.
I need that footage. It was, do you know what it reminded me of? And I was so angry in that fitting room trying to pull this garment off of me, but I could not get the image of Ross on that show Friends out of my mind when he was on the date and he was wearing those leather pants, and then he went to the bathroom and then he couldn't get him back up, and then he calls Joey, and Joey's like, you need to use Vaseline, and he's like, oh, okay.
You should have called me.
I know, I'd have been like, Cynthia. Well, actually, I do know
my God.
neither of those worked. Poor Ross.
Oh,
he was covered in Vaseline.
Yeah.
And then he was covered in baby powder.
I would have had to go get you some Wesson oil or
yeah,
something.
I needed something because I literally could not pull this off of me. And then I'm like all sweaty and I'm just like super overcome. So then when I come out, she was like, what took you so long? I was getting worried about you. And I was like, I was worried about myself. I couldn't get this sucker off.
And she goes, I am not buying.
No, this is going back on the rack. Like, sorry. And I feel bad for anybody that like might have
Oh,
bought
my
that or
gosh.
tried it on after me because I was like, that thing should be condemned. I was so hot when I was wearing that thing.
Oh my God, that was pretty funny.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I forgot all about that story. Oh my gosh, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one for sure.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway.
I know. I wasn't sure what story you were going to tell because we do have a lot of them. But yeah, my heart is racing just thinking about trying to pull that garment off of me. But anyways, well, this has been a super fun conversation.
It has, as always.
Right? And I hope that this will just be a public service announcement to everyone out there that doesn't know the art of the courtesy flush and all the benefits. Actually, we forgot to mention some of them, right? So then, I'm just going to jump back really fast.
Sure.
Because obviously, clog a toilet as much. You don't have the, aroma in the bathroom. And then the other, and this is something that I hadn't thought of. So when I was doing my deep dive with the research, I discovered that it also avoids germs getting wafted into the air. And this led me down a rabbit hole of this information that I don't know if I ever really noticed this, but in public restrooms, there is not a lid.
There's no lid
on the toilet.
Correct, yes.
And
most of them anyway, yeah.
Yes. And so the internet informed me that is terrible and that hospitals should not have toilets that do not have a lid, especially when they're trying to keep the environment extremely sanitary.
Right.
So
I saw a whole thing on that on like 2020 or something.
Did you really?
I did. And it showed and it grossed me out because and that's why when I'm at home, I'm constantly closing the lid. Closing the lid.
Before you flush it.
Well, even you're supposed to do it before you flush, right?
Yes.
So then, of course, the next person comes in and the lid's down. Well, my husband constantly leaves, not the whole thing up, but the lid up. Which means he's not closing the lid when he flushes.
Oh.
So they did this whole thing where they filmed people in a hotel room. So, your hotel bathrooms, I mean, unless you're in some luxury suite or whatever, you've got sink, toilet, right?
Right.
And it was showing, and they were doing like these
black lights.
These like special cameras
Yeah.
that would show the splash
Oh
of it
my
going.
gosh.
The person's toothbrush was on the sink
No.
right here. And the toilet, when the guy flushed, literally it goes as far as hitting his toothbrush
No.
on the sink. Yes.
No.
And so now, ever since I watched that,
No.
I close the lid and flush.
That
Always.
is disgusting.
Isn't it? Luckily at home we have what they call it,
Separate.
a water room. Yeah.
Yes.
So we do have a separate one. So at least I know it's not on my toothbrush.
Exactly. No, never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was gross.
That is disgusting.
I had to just throw that in.
No, that's quite fascinating.
I know,
actually.
right?
Yeah.
It was.
Wow.
It was
Yeah,
eye-opening.
that's disturbing for sure.
But,
well,
yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I hope we've taught you a lot. I'm just saying that the art of the courtesy flush is just very nice. It's a very polite thing to do, and there's so many benefits. So, anyhow, I just appreciate you guys sticking with us and listening.
We do.
And we've been doing this for a month or so now, and we don't know if you guys are enjoying it. We're sure having fun, and if you are,
let us know.
let us know. Comment
and like and subscribe.
Yes,
and
please
share.
do. And share, yeah. Also too, if you guys want to take advantage of the comment section below our video, you can totally share a most embarrassing story. We would love to hear yours.
Yeah.
And if you want to remain anonymous, maybe we could just say DM us, go to Instagram and do like a private message, or Facebook, whatever you're on.
Yeah.
And our email address is actually down below in the episode description too, so you could always shoot us an email. Yeah. So, but we'd love to connect with you.
Yep.
Share your thoughts. Give us your most embarrassing stories. And I guess there's just one thing left to say. Catch you on the next one.